Well, I know it's Tuesday, but we're gonna get the thing like on the road slowly, right? Cheers. Welcome back, everybody, to me trying to do the weekly navel gazing. And yeah, it's today and not yesterday because of stuff. And that's what we're going to get into when I talk about all the things I read since we last talked, and all the things I did since we last talked, and all the books I plan to read and stuff I plan to do until next week, which will probably also be on Tuesday. More about that one later. And let's get right into it. What did I read since we last spoke on, well, last Thursday, I guess. And I did, in fact, read some books. In fact, I did reread Snuff by Terry Pratchett. And then I did read Cahokia Jazz by Francis Spufford. And I binge read all of I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle today. All of these books are really, really good. I really enjoyed Cahokia Jazz. I'm going to talk about it some more in detail. Well, obviously, enjoy a Terry Pratchett book every time I read it. And I absolutely fucking loved I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons by Peter S. Beagle. It came out today. Go read it as quickly as possible. Trust me, you won't regret it. It's fantastic. I love it. There will be more about this in the future as well. Which brings me, of course, to plans for reading. And yeah, I don't know. I gotta finish the A Secular Age by Charles Taylor. This will probably take a while longer. The audiobook is huge, right? We're talking like 42 hours. That's like Malazan Wheel of Time length of novel, right? But it's obviously academic philosophy or philosophy, history of philosophy, and that stuff is dry, I guess. So yeah, that's something that will probably take me a couple more days. And I obviously have to reread the Illuminatus trilogy, which will happen probably next week, I think, because I have to talk about it with my offline book club. So that's that. Until then, I may also read The Plot Against America by Philip Roth, and or the The Curse of the Mistwraith by Jenny Wirtz, or of course Exordia by Seth Dickinson, which is another book that I really want to read and I have on my phone. So that's sort of like the plans. They are, as I said, vague, but then you know, we're going to figure this out together, I guess. The main issue with the and I'll talk about the Jenny Words thing a bit later. Anyway, so what did I do since then? Well, I did a live stream. Some of you were there, and I had fun, and I hope you had fun too. I think it was a decent one. It didn't go for like 5 hours, but we almost did 3 hours, so I got that's pretty good. And then I wanted to do a video on snuff on Sunday. But then on Sunday, I had the chance to go and see a band. Well, two bands. I went to a concert of Gatekeeper from Canada and Smolder from, well, Canada and Finland now. And that kind of threw a bit of a wrench into my recording plans. So while I managed to reread the entirety of Snuff on Sunday, by the time I was done with the book, I had a driver who wanted to, go there. So I had a way to get there and get back again, instead of, hanging out at the train station until 4 in the morning. And that meant, cutting short the idea of the book. So that's why that didn't happen. And then yesterday, with no videos and nothing really done because I finished Cahokia just like late night last night, I felt like it makes sense to sort of wait until today for the new video for the weekly navel gazing because yeah, I hadn't done anything. So, videos this week. Well, I guess you already know. It's going to be Snuff, Cahokia Jazz, and I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons in some order, way, shape, or form. We will see. But that's what I'll try to do. The only issue there is, of course, that I am going for another festival, the Rock Hard Festival, later this week. I mean, I'll go there on Thursday. Festival is like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that no, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, right. So I'll be back home on Monday, which is obviously Pentecost and thus a public holiday. Um, but depending on when I come home and in what state, um, the next navel gazing will also still be on Tuesday because because of that, really. So yeah, this is sort of the video plans. I'll try to get those 3 videos recorded, and then I can, upload them tomorrow, Thursday, and well, Friday or whatever. So you won't be left alone. I have thoughts on all these books, so that should not be that much of a problem. We will see. But yeah, that's the video plans. Yeah, so I guess we're slowly getting back into something, and that's kind of why I'm making this video today, because I don't want to, leave too much undone until we get there. So that's something, right? So yeah, I think like one thing is that I need to figure out how to do thumbnails again, because as you obviously know, I'm relying on other people to help me with thumbnails, and that means I have to wait until those people have time, and that means stuff may take a day longer because otherwise, what you gonna do? It's like I'm always very, very thankful when people help me, but that means I can't demand anything. That is the one thing. The other part that I wanted to talk about is a bit of like audiobook stuff, and then we're probably gonna descend into madness anyway. And that's the Jenny Words thing, right? Usually when I read series of books, like The Malazan Book of the Fallen or Wheel of Time, or probably later this year, both the Last King of Ostenard and of course Stormlight Archives, I want to binge read those. I want to go like book to book to book to book, so I don't forget too much in between, that kind of thing, right? Um, Obviously, that's not an option for me with the Wars of Light and Shadow, because so far there's book one, Curse of the Mistwraith, which was finally released in audio earlier, well, sometime in April. Then there is book 10, which has been out for a long time. And then there's book 11 coming out later this month. The rest is missing. So far, there's not even a release date for book 2 in audio. I don't even know if it will happen or not. And that's kind of the problem, right? Is obviously audiobooks are expensive. We talked about that. That means publishers may or may not actually continue producing a series of books in audio in case, say, the pre-orders and sales are too low and it feels like they're actually losing money on that. And I get it from like their perspective, but from my perspective, I'm sitting here and it's like, well, I know the books exist, but if buying one does not necessarily mean I can get the rest. Also, the rest may take years at this point, right? If they do like one per year, we'll be talking about this in 2033 or whatever. Well, yeah, there's like nine more. Yeah, in 2033, which I don't know. I don't know if we still have a planet by then. But so there is this weird thing where I'm putting out money and I don't have money anyway. So I'm spending like one of my very few Audible credits on something where I'm not sure when I will actually be able to read the whole thing. But on the other hand, if I don't spend that money, the chances of the rest actually being made in audio are getting slimmer. And it's a highly frustrating situation. And the problem is like obviously I don't know who actually is to blame for this, because obviously, well, I mean, capitalism is to blame for this, but we don't have, we haven't nationalized audiobook production yet, which is another thing, but so I'm kind of worried about that. On the other hand, I'm like, if I buy the first one and then I wait for all the others to come out, or even now spend money on book 10 and book 11, um, and then I find out I really hate them, and once I've spent like 11 Audible credits in 9 years on this stuff, right? That's also going to be highly frustrating. So maybe I should just go ahead and read the first one, and then decide what I'll do after that. Which obviously puts me into that situation where I'm like, if I talk about that one right now, if I read The Wars of Light and Shadow and I decide to talk about it, is that going to be a good idea? Because then I won't be talking about it until like whenever book 2 comes out, if it ever comes out in audio. And I hate to have stuff unfinished. I'm already fucked up that I have, still haven't put up a video on use of weapons, and I should have done so like a long time ago. And I still haven't put out, the new Terry Pratchett one. There's a bunch of unfinished business on this channel already. I still need to do videos on the two last Black Company novels as well, and having all these unfinished bits floating around feels bad to me. I'm not good with like having unfinished stuff. Is my point here. Is same with the Sunday school thing, right? I want to continue that, and that's something I kind of need to figure out how to do this with this channel. Like, so this is where we kind of descend into madness, and make this more about me again. Welcome to my channel. No, is really that, right? I have these unfinished things, these projects that sounded good when I thought about them, and I still want to do that. I want to go back. I want to read A Song for Arbonne and talk about how it relates to using historical sources in your fantasy versus, using folklore or whatever. When we talked about the other one, Tigana, and I want to do that. I want to do that the right way, which obviously in my case means going back and rereading the actual like sources of the Albigensian Crusade and relating that to what Guy Gavriel Kay does with it, all of that stuff, and then suddenly making a video about one book doesn't mean I read a book. It means I read like five books, and means then I spent like a month working on that for whatever reason, and yeah, that's going to take time because there's on the other hand that obviously that whole heavy metal thing that I'm kind of being sucked in again. It's like one of those things like right, I haven't done anything for a while and was super depressed, and then I signaled slowly that I'm getting better maybe, and suddenly I have like no weekends, and there's summer festival season, and suddenly I'm like gone every weekend or like Thursday till Sunday, and then I'm completely knocked out on Monday because coming back from a festival on a Sunday kind of fucks you up. And I'm going to this festival and I'm coming back on Monday this time around, and then on Thursday I'm going to the next festival. That leaves very little time for research and stuff like that. And that might be like one of the things that sort of lead to a lot of booktubers kind of slowing down their production over the last year or so. And some of them really dropping out fully is like a lot of us started during the pandemic and we had a lot of time during the pandemic, but like since 2022-ish, general life has mostly recovered. And we obviously it took a while, and there's like a level of inertia. There's like you have like your really cool booktube channel just you started during the pandemic, and then suddenly, I mean, you keep going at it, but like as more and more like outdoor life, social life, all of this stuff creeps back in, suddenly it's way harder to read like 2,000 pages per week and write like a video about anti-Semitism or author in literature, and get that done in like a reasonable time frame. And on the other hand, with like topics like that, and there's still like the Sanderson madness thing, right? Those take time, but on the other hand, I don't want to make them like a 20-minute video. Here's like why Brandon Sanderson sucks, because yeah, you already know that. I mean, or at least like the level of argument I can put into 20 minutes does not, you know, bring anything new. But if I do like a 5 video series on it, chances are people watch the first one and drop off, and no one will ever watch the second or the third one. And since I'm not doing this for views, in the sense of like I want to have a lot of people watch this and get like brand deals and make a lot of money, but if because I want to make I want to make an argument. I want people to understand what I want to say. I can't necessarily turn this into like a series where I'm already aware of the fact that no one will ever reach the end of it. So I have to kind of do that as a coherent one long video kind of thing. And that's kind of the problem with a lot of these ideas that I have at the moment. The conspiracy one that I mentioned before about like Illuminatus and Foucault's pendulum, and possibly if I can be arsed to actually go back a Dan Brown novel as well, and tying that into ideas of conspiracy, of paranoia, that kind of stuff. And I'm already doing that. And I'm like, well, maybe if I'm already talking about Illuminatus and whatever, especially Illuminatus, maybe I should also pull in like a Thomas Pynchon novel or two, like, I don't know, Crying of Lot 49, or possibly, well, I mean, I already talked about Inherent Vice before, but the temptation of like feature creep is a real problem when you're making the kind of videos that I do in the way that I do them with the brain that I have, which is probably part of the problem. It's like my brain's fucked. And it's very easy for me to sort of expand ideas further outwards and further outwards. And then I'm like, well, gods, where are we now? You know what I mean? So that's something I need to kind of figure out how to sort of get all of that kind of stuffed into what seems to be a very, very um heavy metal summer with a lot of time with me just running around on festivals. On the other hand, like if I were a good YouTuber, I would probably try to find a way to actually turn heavy metal festivals into content as well. But then again, would any of you actually want me talking about heavy metal festivals or whatever I do there? I, I can't vlog at a festival. I'm too shy to do that, is my point. But you see what I mean? I'm still trying to figure out what to do to kind of get back out of that like weird like hiatus of like 2.5 months where I didn't do anything. And yeah, I need to figure out how to do that. Like there's so many ideas, and right now it feels like there's no time because every time, like every weekend, I'm doing something crazy, and yeah, I don't know. I'm still confused is my point, but at least I have like 3 videos about individual books, and these are usually fairly easy to do. Yeah, and all 3 are really good books that I really enjoy, so it should be easy to do that and give you something to watch for the next couple of days before I come back on Monday, and maybe more clarity will have happened then, because nothing helps with clarity than like spending like 4 nights on a campground and in the vicinity of alcohol and loud guitar music, right? That's what we call clarity, or so I've been told. Anyway, yeah, that's just a quick update to not stop making videos just like after doing one. I'll see you very soon with videos about snuff, about Cahokia jazz, and about I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons. What did you do since last Thursday? What are you planning to do in the next week? Let me know in the comments. If you have anything else to tell me, please let me know in the comments as well. And we'll see where things go from here. And until then, well, thanks and cheers.